Good morning, BST. My name is Elijah Abdul Sayed, and welcome to this episode of BST Talks.
Hello, Cowboys. I'm the co-host of this podcast, Brady Volkman, and welcome to this episode of BST Talks, all about the BST Teachers, Part 3.
Today, we'll be interviewing Mr. Rogers and Ms. Christensen.
First, we will interview Mr. Rogers, who teaches AP Human Geography and AP US History. Which high school did you go to?
I went to a small private school called Western Christian High School out in Covina.
Could you briefly describe your high school experience?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved high school. I had so much fun in high school. The classes were, the basic classes that you would take, just like you guys are taking. We did not have APs at that school. Basically, they considered everything an honors class, but they did not offer AP courses at the time. But the classes were a lot of fun and engaging. And then I played some sports, got involved with a little bit of the clubs, and just had a really, really fun time.
Did you participate in any sports or leadership organizations at your high school? If so, which ones?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was part of CSF, which is the California Scholarship Federation, and even now I try to encourage all of my students to make sure that they join that. I also played football and basketball. Those were the sports that I got involved in.
How were you able to persevere through high school despite any challenges you may have faced?
So again, my focus in high school was really on trying to make sure it was the most enjoyable experience I could have. My dad and mom, when I went to high school, said, hey, listen, the next 4 years are going to go by really, really quick, and they're going to be 4 of the best years of your life. So we want you to excel in your academics, but we also want to make sure that you're finding the right balance and trying to have some fun. And so I was able to find that balance and get myself very involved socially. And then, of course, I had my parents at home, and then I also have my faith. So all those things combined helped me to, when the tough times did come, I'd lean on my family, I'd lean on my faith, and I'd lean on the friends that I had made in high school. And some of those friends in high school I still actually am in contact with today, and we reminisce about some of that stuff.
What is your favorite memory from high school?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. My favorite memory from high school would probably be my senior prom. At the time, I had been chasing the girl that is now my wife for 2 years, and she would not date me. And finally, I was able to get her to start dating me. And we went to senior prom, the two of us, and we had a bunch of her friends that were juniors, because I was a senior and she was a junior, and a bunch of my friends. And there was a dance afterwards and all sort of thing. I just remember that really stands out to me as so much fun that we had that night, so many memories made. And I think probably the second, second favorite memory was going to all the football games. So I played for a couple of years, and then when I stopped because of an injury, still would go and support my friends. And we just had so much fun going to the games and then hanging out afterwards. So I think those are some of my best memories from high school.
Which college did you attend?
I went to Cal State Fullerton.
Could you briefly describe your college experience?
Yeah, college was, again, a lot of fun. It was a different kind of fun, though, because I felt like once I got to college, the classes were actually, believe it or not, much more like what you guys are experiencing here. The classes were much deeper and more challenging, and they made me think a lot more. And it made us, it opened up the doors to all kinds of deep conversations that I hadn't necessarily had in the high school classes I had been in. And so I loved the academic part. I loved going every day to learn because it was just so much fun. And then I also actually happened to make some friends there as I went along, because I was a history major. And we became friends with some of the history major, other history majors at the school. And we used to hang out a lot at breaks between classes. We'd have study groups. We actually even had some professors that would invite us over to their house, and we would go study at their house and help them with research they were doing. So it was just a really fun learning experience. And then again, also just, of course, engage in the social things too was a lot of fun.
What were some of the most important things that you did that you think helped you to get into the college that you went to?
So the biggest things are, again, being well balanced, and that's even true today. So I was, like I said, involved in some sports, involved in some leadership, involved in working really hard in my academics to maintain a high GPA. And I think all of those things helped me to get into the school that I wanted to get into.
Is there anything that you regret doing or not doing academically in high school or college?
Academically, not so much. There are some things that I wish, like, because Cal State Fullerton is more of a commuter school, so at the time, at least when I went there, and I won't tell you how long ago that was, but when I went there, very few people lived on campus. So you basically drove to school, went to your classes, went home, or went to your job or whatever it was. And I do wish that I had gotten more involved in some of the clubs and things that went on the college campus. But academically, I was always in it. Like, I wanted to learn. That's why I was engaged with my professors, and my colleagues and my classmates and everything. So academically, I felt like I was pretty good. I just wish I would have gotten more involved in, especially in college, in the extra stuff.
What was one of the most important life skills that you learned in college?
There, I would say perseverance, because again, college for me was more challenging than high school. And so when I got in there, I had to realize, hey, you're not always going to get A's necessarily in everything, because it's just a lot more challenging. And so I had to learn how to persevere through that and work to the best of my ability, but not expect perfection, and to learn how to accept that. And that's been a struggle for me, honestly, my entire life. And I try to work with my students on that, because I see you BST students kind of in the same mold, that you guys are such high achievers, such amazing young people. Then you're coming to BST and you're taking all these AP classes, and it's a much greater challenge. And you're like, wait a minute, my grades aren't quite the same here as they were everywhere else I've been. And it makes some of you guys feel like you're knocked down a little bit. And so one of the things I want to work on with you guys is that same skill that I had to learn in college, and that is not being a perfectionist, learning to persevere through that, and just maintaining a growth mindset where you're saying, okay, I struggled here, but I'm going to continue to work to continue to grow and get better. And so I think that's the biggest lesson I learned, and it's driven me to then do that same thing for my students. So
Is there any advice that you would like to give to the students listening?
just honestly, just keep plugging away. With all the students I've had from the class of 2026, 2027 to 2028, you guys all work so hard. Keep doing what you're doing, but find that proper balance. You guys are all going to get into the schools you want to get to. I really, truly believe that when you go to college. Enjoy these high school years so that you have that balance of, yeah, I'm achieving everything I can academically. But again, don't strive for perfection. Strive for growth. Accept that you're not always going to be perfect. Strive for growth. And then again, that will get you through to the college that you want. But make sure you're finding that balance of having some fun. Make sure you're involved in sports or leadership or band. When you get to college, get more involved. I can tell you guys, my oldest daughter that went through the university, my youngest daughter right now is just starting college, but my oldest one that went through everything, she got herself involved. And because of that, she feels so tied to the friends she made in college and the community she built in college, that when you get there, I would just say the same thing. Maintain that balance. Strive for your academics, but find that balance of social things and just those fun things that are going to make your life totally well-rounded.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
You got it.
Now we will interview Ms. Christensen, the teacher of anatomy and physiology and AP biology. Which high school did you go to?
I actually went to Chino High School, so I am a alumni of Chino High.
Could you briefly describe your high school experience?
Yeah, so I played on the varsity soccer team. I was involved in link crew, so I was kind of in charge of like people who were coming in, like freshmen, and just getting them integrated. I was also really involved in like my honors classes. I would like to think that I knew a lot of people, but I always just really liked like getting to know more people and having fun. And I really liked high school. It was really an awesome experience, and I had a lot of great teachers too that I'm really close with today too.
How were you able to persevere through high school despite any challenges you may have faced?
Yeah, so I actually in high school I tore both of my ACLs in both of my knees, my freshman year and then my senior year. Or actually, I think it was my sophomore year and my senior year, and I had a really, really hard time because those were like a year coming back from both of those injuries and they were separate. Not only was it hard for me mentally, like going through that with sports because I wasn't able to play soccer because I needed surgery on those knees, but also because just coming to school was kind of sad sometimes. I was on crutches walking to classes and that wasn't like the most fun, but my friends really got me through it. And I think that just having a community around you that's really uplifting is super important when you're going through something like that.
What is your favorite memory from high school?
Ooh, my favorite memory. I would probably say beating Dong Lugo in the games. The soccer games are always fun, or just like any like Friday night soccer game under like the lights. Those were always like the best. And then you go and hang out with your friends after and go to like In and Out. So I think those are like my most favorite memories.
Which college did you attend?
I went to Vanguard University of Southern California, and then I'm currently getting my master's now at National University.
Could you briefly describe your college experience?
Yeah. So the college that I went to is super, super small. The community is, I would say, probably even smaller than Chino High School. But it was honestly such a good time. It was so fun. I'm super close to my professors. I'm actually friends with a lot of my professors now. I go back and I shoot podcasts with them. I did summer internships with them, and I won multiple research projects. So it was a really fun time. I was really involved. Like I said, it was super small, so it's kind of easy to like know everybody. Like it literally took like 5 minutes to get to your classes. But I think because of the tight knit community, like all my classes were really, really fun, and I got integrated with the community really fast because those classes were so small. It was like when you go to like UCLA or like USC, you see like lecture halls that are like 400 kids are in there, but like my classes were probably like 20 kids, which is like the same size as the BST classes. So I think that's why I like the BST classes so much, is because it is more of an intimate relationship between like the teacher and the relationship they have with their students. So I really liked that.
What are some of the most important things that you did that you think helped you to get into the college that you went to?
I always took my grades very seriously, and I always studied for tests. Like if there was something else like happening, my friends were having maybe a party that I was going to go to, like a birthday party or a family party, I always chose to like stay in and study for my tests instead. And looking back, I do think that even though I was missing some of those like experiences, I did have other experiences that made up for it. And I wouldn't change anything because of the college that I got into. I think it's also important to note that you should give yourself grace too. If you don't do good on a test, that's okay. You can come back from it. Everyone makes mistakes. And then also, like, I think having those times where you are like relaxing, not always studying 24/7, like it's okay to not do anything for a little bit and have break time. That's still something I'm still learning because I am always busy, but I do think that's important to have as a kid, and it really trains you for when you get into college and even like in your adult life. That's something that's really important, is like time management and things like that, learning when to relax and like things like that.
Is there anything that you regret doing or not doing academically in high school or college?
Ooh, good question. In high school, academically, I don't think there's anything I regret doing. I'd actually, funny enough, I did not take any science AP courses, even though I'm a science AP teacher, which is kind of funny to think about. So I think if I were to go back, I think I would like to take AP Bio so that I would could like experience that. And I think that would have been really fun. In college, I really do wish that I would have been more involved in leadership. I just honestly, it was kind of hard to do that and then also be a science major. My schedule was super impacted, and I actually graduated early because I did the education program in school, which you become kind of like a teacher in 4 years instead of 5. So I graduated a little bit early, which means that my like schedule was super impacted. So I didn't really have time for anything else. And I worked on the weekends. So if I were to go back, I think I would have been more involved in like leadership groups and stuff like that. So yeah.
What is one of the most important life skills that you learned in college?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say I learned two. One of them being time management for sure. I think I'm really good at that now. I think that I have a lot going on at the school, being the ambassador's teacher, being an anatomy teacher, and then also teaching AP Bio. Like I think that comes with a lot on my plate, and I think I do balance it all really well on top of getting my master's. So I think time management is something I really, really learned in college. And then also, I think in college too that I learned it's okay to mess up. Like it's okay if you do something wrong, but it's kind of about what like lesson you take away from that. What did that teach you, and what can you do to improve on that next time? So I think that's also a really big factor as well.
Is there any advice that you'd like to give to the students listening?
I would say, obviously, you want to be focused on working hard in your grades, being the best at what you do. That's all really important too. But I think it goes back to what I was talking earlier about just giving yourself grace. And you're not always going to be perfect, and that's okay. And that's something I'm still learning too. It's okay to not always be perfect. It's okay to not always have it all together. but it's about like those lessons that they're teaching you through those experiences. What are you learning from those, and how can it make you a better person, a better leader, a better sister, a better daughter, all those different things. How can it make you just a better person overall? So just really focusing on those life lessons.
Thanks, Ms. Christensen.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening, guys. Tune in next time for a new episode.
And remember, be your best at BST.